for a plane coming into SFO. A pilot suddenly pulls up and passengers panic. Tonight, questions about why he ditched his landing last minute. Good evening, I'm Elizabeth Cook.
I'm Ken Bastida in for Alan tonight. The pilot told his passengers it was a near miss with another plane. But KPIX5's Joe Vazquez says the FAA is telling a much different story. Joe?
Ken, we're at California Airways in Hayward, where they've been showing us the simulation of something called a go-around. It's a very routine process where a pilot is approaching the airport and decides for whatever reason it's unsafe, so they pull right back up. Well, that's apparently what happened this morning at SFO, but this go-around went a little violent.
So it felt like we were going pretty fast, going down, and then all of a sudden it was just like he pulled straight up.
Just as her flight from New York was approaching SFO, passenger Abby Muramura says Flight 15 made a sudden change.
It was scary, you know, when you're just going down and then all of a sudden you just feel the plane start to go back up and you kind of throw back in your seat a little bit because it's going up so quickly, and you know, I think my heart was racing.
The sharp ascent, she says, knocked a flight attendant down.
She was, I think, walking toward the back so that she could go sit down to prepare for the landing, and she just completely fell. And we all kind of looked over, and people were kind of gasping, a little alarmed.
An FAA spokesman tells KPIX5 that the JetBlue pilot reported to the tower that he was simply doing a routine movement called a go-round. More specifically, he believed that the tower had him at too high an altitude for a safe landing.
Looking for a nice stabilized approach, tracking a nice approximately 3-degree glide slope to the runway.
Jonathan Bishop, a flight instructor at California Airways, says a steeper approach can be dangerous.
And if it's not within the confines of safety, or if it's outside of standard operating procedures and the sink rate becomes excessive, then a go-around would be warranted there. You just go around and try another landing.
But was it a go-round? Abby insists she and other passengers heard the captain say it was actually a near miss.
So the captain said that as we were trying to land on the runway, there was another plane trying to land on the same runway. And so that's why we had to suddenly stop what we were doing and in the process of doing and go back up into the air.
And we're back live. There you see what the pilot would have seen at 4 miles out when he performed this maneuver. The FAA insists that this was a go-around, that there was no other plane in sight. And in fact, a JetBlue spokesman tells me that after they looked back over the records and talked to the crew, that in fact they performed a go-around. This was not a near miss. And they said that it was for flight control reasons. They did not explain why the pilot would have said that there was another plane nearby. Reporting live, I'm Joe Vazquez, KPIX5.